Hi, Michelle Gomez here, coming to you from the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Los Angeles, here for today's College Bound presentation on financial aid. So we're going to go ahead and cover some basics that you need to know as you wander the world of financial assistance. I consider the basics to start off with the FAFSA, which is the main method of which all of us will be accessing financial aid information for you as you pursue post-secondary studies. So FAFSA actually stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And it's a digital form that's completed online both by prospective college students, aka seniors in high school, as well as current college students. So that means that every year you reapply for the FAFSA to redetermine your financial aid eligibility. Before you begin the FAFSA, you must create an FSA ID. The FSA ID will be created not just for you as a student, but for your parents as well. Your parents or guardians will need to create one because most students are not considered independent on their own. That means that your parent or guardian's income will be considered in the creation of your financial aid award. It's important that you keep your FSA ID in a very safe location, whether that means you write it in your notebook that you always keep all your important notes in. I've had different students do different things with their information for not just for themselves, but for their parents. And the reason it's important is because not only will you continue to use this every year to apply, but if you are one of the students that ends up getting loans to attend college, this will be the same portal you utilize to either do loan counseling to release that loan or see your loans in the FAFSA portal. Parents will also need this, especially if you have siblings that are younger, because when they apply to college, guess what? Your parents will be using that same FSA ID. So once you've created this, you will be ready to begin the FAFSA application. This serves a dual purpose in not just logging you in, but also helping you sign the application is complete. You will have some documents that you need to gather before you begin the application, and those documents are listed here. Main ones are really the federal income tax information that your parent or guardians will provide to you. That means that if you ask them, hey, I need the W-2, I need the 1040 forms for this year, they should know how to help you with that. Those are the forms that are used when determining how much money your household makes and what percentage of that can they contribute to your college education. Sometimes there are additional records of income that are required. It really depends on the situation. When in doubt, I would say ask for support on this. And there's also some situations where parents have like large amounts of savings specifically for their child to attend college. Sometimes, colleges, universities will ask for proof of this, and then they will determine eligibility based on that. So that's the FAFSA in a nutshell. We're going to go ahead and do a quick overview video that nicely summarizes a lot of this information. So let's go ahead and watch.
The Free Application for Federal Student Aid, or FAFSA, is the application for grants, loans, and work-study funds provided by the federal government. It is also used by many states and schools for their financial aid programs. For the fastest and easiest way to apply, visit our official website, FAFSA.gov. The FAFSA is available in English and Spanish. As you fill it out online, you'll be able to automatically skip questions that don't pertain to you, check out your status immediately, and get online help. It takes most people less than 30 minutes to complete the application. You'll need a few things when you fill it out, so get ready by gathering your Social Security number, your permanent resident card if you have one, any W-2 forms or records of money you earned for the previous year, and your tax records. By the way, a nice time-saving feature of the FAFSA is that many people are eligible to automatically transfer their tax data from the IRS into the FAFSA, so keep an eye out while you're applying in case you're offered that option. If you have any questions about what information to gather, there is a complete list of documents that you will need at FAFSA.gov. Before you begin the process of filling out the FAFSA, you should create a username and password called an FSA ID that will act as your electronic signature. You'll only need to create an FSA ID once, and you can use it to renew your FAFSA each year that you apply. Your parents will need an FSA ID too if they have to provide any information. So now you're ready to begin filling out the FAFSA to apply for financial aid. There are 3 groups of questions that include personal information, such as your name, address, and marital status, financial information, such as your income, and any parent information that is required. If you get hung up or confused about a question, the Help and Hints box on the right-hand side of the application can help with each question as you move along. Also, look for the online chat feature under Help if you would like assistance from a knowledgeable agent. Because colleges and career schools use the FAFSA to provide financial aid, you can list up to 10 schools that you are interested in attending. You should list all of the schools that you are considering, even if you haven't been accepted or applied yet. If you have more than 10 schools in mind, you can submit your FAFSA with 10 schools and then replace some of those schools with other schools later. When you finish filling out the FAFSA, use your FSA ID to sign the form. If you are required to submit parent information on your FAFSA, a parent will need to sign the application with his or her own FSA ID as well. If you have any questions or need more information, please visit studentaid.gov.
And there you have it, a nice little summary of the FAFSA process. Next, we're going to cover the CSS profile. Again, not to be confused with the FAFSA, you don't have to do both in order to get aid. The CSS profile is different. It's an application that only some universities and colleges use, and they use this to determine how much financial aid, non-federal financial aid you might need. Most of the time, this is something that private colleges and universities use, so definitely determining should I apply first and foremost is key. How do you know if you should apply? You do this by checking online on College Board under the CSS profile list. It'll tell you what participating institutions require you to submit one. For example, we just learned about private colleges and universities like Caltech, which is the first one on this list. Caltech does require students to complete a profile online for CSS. So if you're thinking about going here, you will not only apply for the FAFSA, but also apply for the CSS profile for Caltech. So that I know it's 2 different processes, but it's definitely in your benefit because it gives you the most amount of opportunities to be eligible for different aid. So that I know we talked about also how sometimes private universities and colleges can give you more financial aid depending on your need. This is why the CSS profile really kind of taps into sometimes a different pool of money that the FAFSA does not really determine on. The process to apply for CSS profile is you go obviously to the cssprofile.collegeboard.org website and you sign in using your College Board account. So this is the same account you use to register for the PSAT, SAT, or AP tests. So be sure that you kind of use the same account to maintain consistency. It just kind of is nice to keep everything under one portal. So I know a lot of the information for FAFSA was if you have either legal status or if you are a U.S. Citizen or resident. What about if you don't qualify for that, right? What if you're not a legal resident in the United States or in California in general? Here in California, it's really neat because we do have what is called the California Dream Act, which is actually a state law that states any child who was brought to the U.S. under the age of 16 without proper visa or immigration documentation can be eligible to obtain student aid. There are certain criteria that must be met in order to qualify for the California Dream Act. Obviously, it includes things like attending school on a regular basis in California to be considered an actual resident, as well as certain GPA requirements. Now, how do you know if you should be applying for the California Dream Act? It's very simple. If you are undocumented, if you have a DACA, if you have a U visa, a temporary protective status, or meet non-resident exemption requirements under AB 540, you qualify for the DREAM Act. So you do not use the FAFSA at all, you use the California DREAM Act application. So basically the list here provides an understanding of who should be completing these. It's only the people that meet one of these criteria on this list. The portal for the California DREAM Act is in conjunction with the California Student Aid Commission, which is the same folks that bring you the Cal Grant. And we'll talk about the Cal Grant in a minute, but the portal here for the California DREAM Act is almost identical to the FAFSA in every way, except for the look, and it just kind of looks a little different, but it's the same idea, right? To determine the financial needs based on your family's income. So make sure you have as much information available for your family's financial situation. I know that sometimes it's difficult because there are, sometimes some stigmas associated with being undocumented. But if you ever need help or require additional support, please feel free to send me an email at eclub@bgcmla.org, and I'd be happy to set up a case management session to support you with this. So the last two things we're going to learn about today are the Cal Grants and the California College Promise Grant. The Cal Grant is a type of aid that is given to California residents, and there are three types of aids you might qualify for depending on your situation. Cal Grant A is a GPA-based money that you would get, and in order to qualify you have to have a 3.0 or above if you are a senior in high school, or you must have a 2.4 GPA if you are a college student. To qualify for Cal Grant B, you must have a need based on income. Usually the criteria used for this is a minimum financial need of $700 or a family income that meets certain established income ceilings. And I'll post a link for what those income ceilings are on the program template, so that if you guys have questions on whether you qualify for this grant, then you can take a look at it there. And then there's Cal Grant C, which is for vocational students only. We talked about like short-term careers in for example, someone going to do engineering or an electrician career. There might be assistance available to you if you are looking to do some type of vocational schooling like that. And then the last form of aid we're going to cover today is the California College Promise Grant, CCPG. This grant is for the California community colleges for students looking to attend one of those. And it is basically a grant that permits the enrollment fees to be waived. The way you apply for this grant is many of the portals on CCC Apply, many of the schools already have it embedded in the portal. So you really don't need to do anything else outside of accessing the application while you're applying to that community college. If for whatever reason the community college does not have it embedded in CCC Apply, there is a PDF version you can print and submit yourself to qualify to have your enrollment fees waived, which is more money in your pocket to then utilize for other, college expenses. So there you have it, folks. We went through a quick presentation on financial aid. If you have any questions, again, you're always welcome to email me at eclub@bgcmla.org. And if not, I look forward to seeing you all at the next College Bound workshop. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening.